Listen, we all know this movie is as dumb as a box of rocks. But just hear me out. Okay, everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1996. Can it be that long? Yes, it is, crazy as it might sound. To take a look at what has kind of become maybe a classic? I don't know. We're talking about Twister. Before we go any further, before we dig into this gem anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer. Whatever.
Even as the seasons change, nature moves within itself, its colossal power and its delicate beauty in perfect harmony, perfectly, cosmically sane. Though periodically, nature will, in a kind of psychotic fit, go completely, randomly mad.
It's okay. Hear it now. It's all right. We're just gonna close.
We need to get down to Stormville right now.
Okay.
Come on,
Okay.
let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, here we go. Here we go, sweetie.
Hurry.
Here we go.
You don't have a cellar or basement, build the center part of your house.
Okay, everybody, this motion picture was directed by Jan de Bont. Alright, name doesn't hit you over the head, but he did direct Speed 1 and Speed 2. He did direct The Haunting remake, which, well, make it that which you will. He directed Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life, and he was a producer and production guy in a bunch of other motion pictures. Is what it was. This is one of the things he did. Let's just keep rolling. Playing Joe, Helen Hunt. Well, let's take a walk down memory lane, shall we? She was in things like Roller Coaster, when she was really young, and Trancers, and Peggy Sue Got Married, and Next of Kin, and of course things like As Good as It Gets, and Castaway, and The Sessions, and on TV, Shots Fired, St. Elsewhere, It Takes Two, Family, World on Fire, and of course, Mad About You, which is probably like her biggest thing outside of this. So, is what it is. Playing Bill, appropriately named, Bill Paxton, the late and great, well, at least late and beloved. Let's roll. Of course, he was in The Terminator. He was in Predator 2, and Aliens, and Titanic, and Near Dark, and Apollo 13, and Frailty, which he also directed, and U-571, and True Lies, and Tombstone, and Navy SEALs, and Next of Kin, and Mighty Joe Young, and he was on TV too. Training Day, Texas Rising, Big Love. So he was around. He was on a lot of stuff. He was in the public eye for a very long time before he suddenly just disappeared, which was sad. Let's keep moving. Playing Melissa, Jami Gertz. Do you remember back to that time? Let's go. We're talking about she was in motion pictures like Less Than Zero, and The Lost Boys, of course, and Crossroads, of course, and Quicksilver, of course, and Alphabet City, and 16 Candles, and Renegades, and TV stuff, Dreams, Square Pegs, Still Standing, whatever. She was in some other stuff too. It doesn't make a difference. She was around and on the scene. Doesn't really do that much anymore. She's like crazy rich, married some billionaire dude. But is what it is. Let's keep rolling. Plain Dustin! Dusty? Whatever. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Big career, was rolling for a while. Ended tragically. We're talking about he was in things like Boogie Nights, and Magnolia, and Red Dragon, and Almost Famous. Come on, it's a great flick. And Capote, and Cold Mountain, and The Ides of March, and The Hunger Games 1 and Dos. And he was Patch Adams, and Punch Drunk Love, and The Talented Mr. Ripley. Sadly made some bad decisions and is no longer around, but did a decent body of work while he was here. And there is a list of other faces and names that are in this thing that pop up and pop through, and you're going to recognize a lot of them, but I ain't got time to hit them all, but we'll touch them quick. We're talking Cary Elwes, of course, using stuff like, Robin Hood Men in Tights and Princess Bride, and Alan Ruck, who's in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Speed, and Lois Smith, East of Eden, and she popped up in Minority Report. And Sam Whalen, we're talking about using Waterworld, and People Under the Stairs, and Todd Field using The Haunting, and Eyes Wide Shut, and Jeremy Davies, come on, Solaris, and Saving Private Ryan. So there's a whole list of people in this thing that you will recognize and you will see, and you say, oh, seen them before. They might not be the names that, come to mind really quick, but they've been out, about, and on the scene for years. There you go. Okay, everybody, we're going to do this in 90 seconds or less. We can keep it short, keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving, and we can, kind of move on to that place called the summation where we discuss whether this movie is worth it or not. You're on this farm, said a little bit in the past, where you see this twister touchdown, and this family is scared as shit. So they run into their basement hiding place, and when they get there, they are all pinned against the wall, freaking out, but the door starts jiggling, and Daddy goes to lock it, and before you know it, poof! Out into the twister he goes, and you find out very shortly that that young girl you're seeing is one Helen Hunt. Cut to modern day, and you see Bill Paxton and his fiancée Melissa. They're driving out there to go meet his ex, or soon-to-be ex-wife, Joe. And when he gets there, he wants her to have those papers signed so he's divorced, so he can marry the new chick in his life. He's a weatherman now, and he's left all this storm chasing behind, but we'll get to that. Doesn't make a difference. Anyway, he gets there, and he finds out Joe hasn't signed the paperwork. And she's got a little bit of an attitude going. It is what it is. Well, before you know it, she breaks to him that, she built Dorothy. What is Dorothy, you ask? Well, it's an early weather warning system that one Bill, a.k.a. the Extreme, kind of drummed up in his head. And now she has made it a realization. She has made it real, and it is about to be deployed. And she thought he should be there for the first go-around. Before you know it, storm pops up, and old Bill says to his girl, Melissa, come on, we gotta go. We gotta be on the scene. I want to see this thing take flight. Well, they go out, they chase a storm. Before you know it, Joe gets her truck destroyed. And she looks at the old ex, or soon-to-be, and says, hey, what kind of insurance you got on that? And before you know it, they are all off and running. Through all this, Bill runs into this guy, Jonah, that he used to work with, but now he hates, who he finds out stole his idea for Dorothy, and he's calling his version of Dorothy something. I can't remember what it was. It doesn't make a difference, and you don't care either. Anyway, he sees this guy and gets into an altercation with him about stealing his idea. The other guy's unrepentant, doesn't really give a shit, is what it is, because we ain't got time to waste. There's another storm to chase. We all take off. It's time. You got Bill, you got Joe, and you got Melissa, and they're in the same truck, and they are out there running, and they are chasing two twin sister twisters, and there's flying cows and all kinds of shit, and you're saying to yourself, how much more of this can little Melissa take? Well, she is just a marriage or relationship therapist, or whatever she is. Doesn't make a difference. She's not really handling all this too well. Anyway, at the end of this little adventure, they all say, hey, let's go visit Aunt May. Aunt May is the aunt of one Joe, a.k.a. Helen Hunt. And they all go out there, where Melissa finds out that Bill used to be known as the Extreme, because he used to get drunk and get naked and throw bottles into twisters. Ooh, this guy's completely off the hook. But a genius who's in touch with the weather, like Kwai Chang Caine is in touch. I don't know what he was in touch with. It doesn't make a difference. Let's keep going. We're talking about they're hanging out there, and before you know it, another storm opportunity comes up, and they are off and running, and they are chasing a storm. Well, Melissa hangs back. Joe and Bill kind of take the lead, and while they're out there, Joe starts to have another breakdown, kind of like she did earlier in the motion picture, where you find out she's almost crazily suicidal and just wants to reach out and go and touch a storm and see what it looks like and see what it feels like and get sucked up into it so she can, relate to her dead dad or whatever the fuck took place. Who knows? Don't understand it. Anyway, it is what it is. But at that moment, Bill and Joe have a conversation where he kind of confesses that he still loves her. And it's obvious up to this point that Jo still loves him. I mean, she confessed it at Aunt May's house, for Christ's sake, and basically told him, you know, she still loves him. And whatever, it is a story. So now you got these two people that still love each other, and they're confessing it, and Melissa hears it over the CB radio. Things aren't going well. Cut to a few minutes down the road, and they are all now hanging out at a drive-in theater, because that's what you do after you chase multiple twisters and tornadoes. But you know, what happens now? Boom! Another twister comes down. All hell breaks loose. They kind of survive. Melissa says, I'm done with this shit. I am out of here. I can't handle it anymore. But they find out that this new twister is headed towards Aunt May's house, where they run out there to help her, and everything is leveled. Her house, her art, you name it, it's gone. But they do save her life, and that's a very good thing. And while they're taking care of her, they find out the mother of all storms, the F5, finger of God itself, is going to come down and do some major damage, and damn it to hell, they want to be there to see it. So they all hop in their trucks, they all go off, and a calamity of the most ridiculous scenes that you've ever seen take place in the history of viewing. Yes, that's what goes on. They drive through houses, they're ducking 18-wheelers falling from the sky, there's all kinds of weird shit taking place. It's nuts, it's mayhem, it's insane, and it's what the hell you paid your $9 for to get in to go see this thing back in 1996. It is what it was, that's it, that's enough, let's get going to the summation. Okay, everybody, does Twister work? Well, if you're thinking of it in the line of a logical motion picture that makes sense and is down to earth and has some kind of just basic structure to it, no, it kind of doesn't. But that's not the point. You have to look at this motion picture as, is it fun? And then you might have a different opinion. But before we get more into that, let's get the big three out of the way. The directing. It looks well enough. I mean, this isn't going to win some awards or anything like that, and you're not going to sit there and remember the beautiful shots in it or the beautiful scenery, but it's good enough. It follows the story. It gets you through it without doing anything so stupid that you look at it and say, who is this guy? The directing's decent. The writing. Well, writing as far as plot line and stuff is just ridiculous, but as far as dialogue, it's quippy enough. It's smart-witted enough. It's reflective enough, and it's enough. Let's keep going. And of course, the acting. Well, actually, that's what this motion picture really has kind of loaded in there. You got a good cast. I mean, you got a good group of people that can really carry their weight in this kind of thing. You know, Philip Seymour Hoffman as Dusty is just completely off the hook and funnier than all pig and shit. Whatever. He's really, really good. And Bill and Jo. Believable. You sit there and you believe that they are this cute little soon-to-be-divorced, still-in-love couple. So, the acting is good enough. It holds together. Everybody carries their weight. Not a problem there at all. All right, let's get back to why this thing works, doesn't work, or whatever. You have to remember, this movie was just meant to be fun. And in that line, it delivers. So let's just cover its pluses. It has a really cute little love story to it. Let's face reality. It does. The character of Bill and Jo are completely relatable. Yes, we've seen it where two people are in love, but they're not together, and they still feel something for each other. We've seen that a million times before in motion pictures. But hey, it works here. And the fact that it's Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, you remember Helen Hunt at that time? Well, kind of after Meg Foster and before Sandra Bullock. She was like the girl of the moment. You know, the cutie next door, everybody likes her, that kind of shit. She was that human being. So they worked well together on the screen. Neither one of them were that kind of like movie star, good looking, whatever you want to call it, type couple. But they worked together as relatable to the working man type couple. So in that aspect, the cute little love story with those two people in it and the chemistry they had, it kind of works. Also, you had the camaraderie of all the people in the motion picture. You believed they were a good little group of friends. You know what I'm talking about? From Rabbit is Wise, Rabbit is Good, to Dustin, to everybody in this thing, they just gelled together, and you had that sense of we're going to go out on an adventure that you got from movies like E.T. and the Goonies and everything else, except everybody's a little older now. You had that same vibe. Come on, kids, damn it, be all. We're going on an adventure. It might end badly. You know it's really not. And we're going to have ourselves a fun time, a cool get-together, and go on an adventure that nobody's meant to take seriously. And that's the point. You're not meant to take this motion picture seriously. This movie has just about as much logic to it as Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, for Christ's sake. But it doesn't make a difference because it's still, in the end, a fun ride. Are the effects a little dated now? Sure. But hey, the pacing's good, and it keeps hitting you with action, story, action, story, action, 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 story, action, action, story. And it kind of pounds you over the head with it. Yes, it might be too much at points, but it's what you thought you were going to get. Also, let me throw it out there. The soundtrack's pretty good. From the score to the Van Halen music, all that kind of shit, the soundtrack even works. So, you're getting camaraderie. You're getting a cute relationship. You're getting action, even if it's borderline stupid and ridiculous. You're getting everything that you can kind of hope for a cute little motion picture to have of this vein. And for that, hey, you can't knock it. Now the negatives, come on, we already covered a lot of the negatives. The plot line is ridiculous and stupid. I mean, borderline offensively stupid. It's ridiculous. You have to suspend every bit of logic in your mind to believe you are watching the shit you are watching. You really do. It comes at you with a bit of a childlike stupidity. This is the Goonies. This is E.T. You're not supposed to believe that this shit could really happen. You're supposed to roll with it. But because they're adults, it makes it seem more dumb. But it's not more dumb. It's the same shit. It's an adventure movie, but there's no logic. There's no real plot. You can't sit there and look at this as a real motion picture. But I guess that is still a negative. Also, there are continuity errors all over this motion picture. I see windshields broken out of trucks that reappear a couple minutes later. I mean, this motion picture is just loaded with them. They didn't take the time to fix the problems. They were just running and gunning and doing whatever the hell they were going to do. And, well, what more can you say? You can't expect a masterpiece theater type production from this. But there are continuity errors. There is no logic. There is absolutely no sense of realism. And on top of that, yes, every character is a stereotype. Yes, we've seen it before. His new girlfriend is the uptight, goofy, whatever you want to call her. I don't know, tight-ass chick that you're like, why is he with her? The girl, Jo, is the incredibly cute, everybody loves her, friend to everybody, everybody wants to be around it. Yes. Bill is the affable, likable guy caught in the middle, not knowing what's really going on. Oh my God. Aunt May's adorable, everybody loves her. And then you got the crazy, wacky guy that's part of the crew. You got the more logical guy that's part of the crew. You got everybody, and you got the stereotypical bad guy who only cares about himself and money and all this other kind of shit and leads himself and some of his crew into the jaws of death because he's so stupid and arrogant. Yes. Don't look for originality. Just look for spectacle, and then you'll be happy. So anyway, we've kind of chopped at this thing for a while now. Twister. Worth the ride? Sure. Worth the watch? Of course. Don't set your realism and your expectations too high, and you'll probably have a fun little 2-hour jaunt that's almost like a crazy drive-in flick where you're just like, hit me with that Independence Day stupidity, and I'll walk out of here a happy freaking camper. How can you complain? All right, everybody, be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Be kind to a stranger. Be there for a friend. And most of all, and I mean most of all, never, and I mean ever, take any bullshit from anybody. See y'all soon.